Hello everybody, CritCrab here with a shorter but sweeter story, this one from our very own subreddit, about a player on the brink of death. The only thing standing between him and the afterlife being an ordinary fork. Roll post. For context, my players and I have been involved in a Plane Chaser style campaign, traveling the Magic the Gathering multiverse in an airship to save our home plane. Our group started with 5 people, but only 3 of us lasted until the end, and those 3 are the ones that matter here. Our captain, a human vengeance paladin/barbarian, our doctor, a rat bird druid with a few screws loose, and me, our navigator, a changeling fiend warlock/destruction cleric. Prior to this specific event, I had been in contact with the demon prince Pale Knight, an Oberith who hates Eladrin and loves mutating and disfiguring mortals. However, halfway through Act 1, I broke my pact with her to escape arrest and get my, then tiefling, hide out of trouble by begging another, closer demon lord to save me in exchange for my soul. He took the deal, and Pale Knight was out of soul. Over the course of the story, items and evil weapons keep going missing around us, and the GM informs me every time that the magical aura of my ex-patron is present every time. This culminates in our monk getting snatched up when the player has to leave, and I start to realize she's building the perfect assassin to kill me. Well, sorta. Eventually, we end up in the jungles of Ixalan raiding a temple to protect a holy artifact from Nico Bolas, the campaign's big bad evil guy. The temple's guardians find us and we book it, not being able to explain we were just borrowing this holy artifact until we killed a dragon demigod. As we're about to escape, I'm asked to make a charisma saving throw. I roll a 2. The GM informs the party that as we're running, the changeling just poofs out of existence, and they don't realize it until they make it back to our ship. I, on the other hand, wake up on a field of bones, an acid green sky overhead, and a castle made of Eladrin bones. I was in Androlin, the 471st layer of the Abyss, Pale Knight's home turf. I enter the castle, resolute in killing, or at least wounding, my former boss and escaping. She greets me telepathically, calling me her betrayer. As I talk back, she explains that she and my current master have a bet as to which of their champions would win in a one-on-one duel to the death. Seeing the only way out was to face what I knew was our dwarf monk, I ventured deeper inside. Meanwhile, the party tries to figure out where I am. The druid and paladin eventually use divination magic to scry my location and see that I'm not only in combat, but where I am in the multiverse. They promptly realize I'm going to die alone, since the ship couldn't plane shift for another week. In the Abyss, I reach the top of her castle and find the now 4-armed and giant dwarf monk waiting for me, now just a demonic beast. I enter the ring and get locked in, and enter combat. Now, I should note, this particular GM gave meaningful loot, and very little gold to buy new gear. I, being the group's warlock, was only given a magic weapon 4 sessions prior, and all the items I was getting were out of combat and support. As such, my gear included a way to reload spell slots, a sword of sharpness as my cleric focus, and a cloak of displacement I got the captain to buy me. No magic armor to speak of for my AC of 13, which the GM somehow never knew I had at level 15. I should also bring up that I was forced into taking cleric levels, so my original focus and build was compromised to fit my less than stellar wisdom score. The end result? My cleric and warlock DCs weren't that high. My spell attack mod was only good on my warlock side, and I was nowhere near the weapon skill I would have had if I stayed pure warlock. Surprisingly, I'm holding my own and do almost 70 points of damage, but the ex-dwarf is now a warlock as well. And I'm running out of magic. The druid is panicking until he realizes the plane shift spell could save me, if only he had a tuning fork. But he did have a fork that was attuned to me, the same fork I eat my meals with. What? So, using that fork, the druid hones in on my location and the party arrives just as I'm on my last first level spell slot. So, my hide was saved as the captain charged the ex-dwarf with a mighty roar. 1 round of combat later, and we're at the base of a ruined castle, and I have a shiny new demon sword. Using my dinner fork once more, we return home and embark on our final journey. So, remember kids, always leave your silverware laying around. If you don't, your friends might not be able to find your crazy demonic butt. End post. Is he allowed to do that? Is that how attunement works? Whether or not that was within the confines of the rules doesn't really matter to me, because if I was running that game, I would also allow that just because of the sheer creativity of it. Another question I have is concerning the monk actually. Was the monk one of the players? If so, it seems really odd that he got killed off screen just to hype up OP's bad guy. A bad guy that may or may not have anything to do with the other players, as he was OP's patron turned bad guy. As much as I would like to believe that Monk was an NPC, this slide in particular makes me think he was a player. And when OP described DM only handing out meaningful loot and giving out very little gold to buy more gear, preferring to give the players specific pieces of loot that he approves of, sounds a lot like financial railroading. Not the worst kind, but it can certainly be annoying if executed poorly. Lastly, when OP describes being forced to take cleric levels, was it that OP had to for some plot reason? Or was it DM's idea that he forced on OP? Oddly, even if DM did force OP to take cleric levels, that wouldn't be the worst thing he did. That is, of course, assuming that DM did these messed up things, but it isn't really clear. Anyways, this is, of course, the worst case scenario, and I apologize if I'm coming off as overly analytical. But there are just enough loose ends that I feel could have been explained a bit better in the story. OP, if you are watching this, definitely drop a comment on it and then contact me and I will gladly pin it. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories just like this one. Till next time.